My alarm went off at 3:12 a.m. with a message I never set. It told me not to move no matter what I hear, part 1. My alarm went off at 3:12 a.m. even though I never set one for that time. And the sound wasn't normal either, quieter and slower like it was meant to wake me without fully startling me. When I picked up my phone, the screen was already on, but it wasn't showing my usual lock screen or any app I recognized. Instead, there was a black background with white text that didn't look like a notification from anything installed on my phone. There was no app name, no icon, nothing to explain where it came from. Just a message sitting in the center of the screen like it had always been there. It said not to move, not to make a sound, and that something was already in the room with me. I read it more than once, trying to convince myself I was misinterpreting it. But before I could react, the screen went dark again like it had never been on at all. I checked my alarms immediately, expecting to find something that would explain it. But there was nothing set for that time, no recent activity, no notifications in my history. Everything looked normal, which somehow made it worse because there was no clear reason for what had just happened. I told myself it had to be a dream, but I was too awake for that to feel real, and the room around me looked exactly the same, as always. Nothing had moved, nothing was out of place. But the silence felt heavier than it should have, like it was holding something in it. Then I heard a sound near the foot of my bed, faint but clear, like fabric dragging slowly across the floor in a way that didn't match anything in my room. It wasn't loud, but it was deliberate, and it repeated just enough to make it impossible to ignore. I stayed completely still without thinking, my eyes fixed on the ceiling as I tried to control my breathing, because the message was still stuck in my head, repeating itself like it mattered more than anything else I could do in that moment. The sound came again, closer this time. Not like footsteps, but like something pulling itself forward across the floor in slow, uneven movements, stopping every few seconds as if it was listening for any reaction from me. My phone buzzed again in my hand, and even though I didn't want to look at it, the light from the screen made it impossible to ignore. The same black background appeared, but the message had changed, like it was responding to something I hadn't done. It told me not to look at it, and the way it was written made it feel less like advice and more like a rule I wasn't supposed to break. At the same time, I could feel something near the end of the bed, not touching me, but close enough that I knew it was there. The dragging sound stopped completely after that, like whatever had been moving had noticed that I was aware of it now, and the silence that followed felt heavier than before, like it was waiting for me to do something wrong. Then the mattress shifted slightly, not enough to move me, just enough to feel like weight had been added near my feet. And that's when I understood it wasn't just in the room anymore, it had moved onto the bed with me. I kept staring at the ceiling, forcing myself not to react even though every instinct was telling me to move, because the message had already been right once, and I couldn't risk finding out what would happen if I ignored it now. Follow for part 2.